This is Joe Pugh for IFLTV. It's the evening after the night before. Gareth A. Davies. Yeah, first of all, how are you, mate? I'm assuming tired like the rest of us.
Well, I'm a little weary. Yeah, well, it's been a very long day of dealing with a lot of things. Obviously, the aftermath of the big event last night. It was shocking. It was alarming. It was thrilling. It was what we've come to know very well with heavyweight boxing, that there are shocks and upsets, and there was an awful lot on the line here. But I'm very well. Thank you. Probably in need of a day off because it was a very long week.
It certainly was, mate. We'll go straight into it then. Just what were you thinking the minute that shot landed in the first round when Anthony Joshua got knocked down for the first time? And many people, as I'm sure you're aware, are kind of benchmarking that as the point of the fight where it kind of changed.
Yeah, it was. Daniel Dubois started very fast and very tenacious and really sharp and alert. And Anthony Joshua didn't look that. He looked listless to me. Um, and it was a very strong round for Daniel Dubois. I was down in row two in a talk sport seat. Um, and I felt that Daniel was being dominant in that first round. I thought he was closing the distance really well. Joshua didn't look fully confident, and I say that with hindsight, but I just had a feeling about him. And then bingo, hands were down, he was along the ropes, and he got carted by that overhand right. And you've thrown us straight into the fight. He never really recovered.
Hmm.
And I think the game plan went out of the window. I don't think he. I know that Lee Wiley and Ben Davison will always have a good game plan for him. It doesn't look like he put it into action. And then he was in recovery mode from there on in,
Did you think in between rounds one and two?
survival
Yeah.
mode.
Did you think in between rounds one and two, it is going to be a massive uphill task for Anthony Joshua to get this back? Obviously, we didn't know what would kind of come out throughout the next three, four rounds where there was multiple knockdowns, but that first knockdown had a massive effect, didn't it?
It did have a massive effect. Um, it looked like it was going to be the capitulation for him in the fight. He held on for grim life. He survived that second round somehow. Um, but Daniel Dubois was very composed, didn't rush any of his work. When Joshua then went down in the third round, I thought this over. His legs, I seem to recall a moment in the third round when he came out, he wasn't even hit when he went over, his legs had gone. He got off balance, didn't quite know where his legs were. Um, Dominated in the third. I've written all the punch stats down here. It's quite
Okay.
interesting. Dominated in the third. Um, a tiny bit of success in the fourth, but then down again. And then in the fifth, and I only know this in hindsight now because Ben Davison said this. Joshua came back after the fourth round and said to to Ben Davison, um, "We live for these moments, and I'm going to roll the dice. I'm rolling the dice." And he did come out and roll the dice, and he was good in the fifth round, but only up until a minute into the fifth round, 59 seconds. Suddenly, and this was the feeling, you couldn't believe it, that Joshua had come back and hurt Dubois. A right hand, a left, another right hand, an uppercut. But as he was in those exchanges, I agree with Eddie Hearn. I think Eddie Hearn commented on this and said at that point, Joshua was only about 20-30% of himself. So he got caught and completely finished with finality by Daniel Dubois. I've described on Talk Sport like, crumpled clothes into a suitcase. He literally went down and he wasn't getting up from that. It was a shock result. It was a shock performance, but that was a below par Anthony Joshua against a young tiger, a young lion who dismantled him and demolished him and mauled him in there. You look at the power punches, Joe PUGH, and the power punches in there. Joshua landed 14 of 35 power punches that he threw. It just shows you how he was fighting for survival. He was tying up. On the other hand, conversely, Daniel Dubois landed 49 of 96 power punches thrown. And when you think about how powerful Daniel Dubois is, 49 power punches, total punches landed by Anthony Joshua, 32 from 117 thrown, 79 landed of 196 thrown by Daniel Dubois. When you think that 60% of Daniel's punches that landed were power punches, it just shows you what happened in that fight. He dominated every round. He dominated the fight. Joshua didn't deliver on the night.
We will go into Anthony Joshua in a minute, but I want to talk about Daniel Dubois. Were you shocked or surprised by how composed Daniel Dubois was in there? Because before the fight, obviously, it was made out to be Joshua's home, a homecoming to Wembley, where all the big nights were obviously fought there 3 times, headlined twice. And Daniel Dubois, whilst he has fought in a stadium at Tottenham and headlined out in a stadium in Poland against Alexander Usyk, all eyes were on him, and he seemed to relish it, Gareth.
He was also made to walk first as the champion as well, which I didn't really agree with. We saw it the other day with Israel Madrimov, and Terence Crawford. I think you were there, weren't you?
I wasn't there. Colm was there.
Colin was there, of course, yeah. I was quite surprised by the fact he had to walk first as well. He had about 12-minute wait before Joshua came out and the anthems. He was steaming warm when he came out, and that was the right thing to do. He got really, really well warmed up, and that helped him start fast. He seemed composed all week. I thought it was a different Daniel Dubois. He wasn't the diffident, shy man that we're used to. He was the gladiator we were talking about. Yes, his lines look a little rehearsed sometimes, and he's a little bit wooden, but he was charming last week, and I had a few laughs with him. I'm sure you did. He was actually having a crack. Maybe at 27, he has grown into his own. He's had 4 fights in 13 months and looked very impressive. He deserves great plaudits. He now sits on the top on heavyweight boxing's top table. That's where he's put himself. I wasn't surprised after the first round because he was there. His shapes looked right. Joshua's shapes didn't look right. I think Lennox Lewis said it on the TNT broadcast that Joshua's chin's high and his hands aren't high enough. His hands are low. And when he was caught in the first round, his hands weren't anywhere. He wasn't even parrying anything. So not a good night for Anthony Joshua. Not good for his legacy.
Obviously, you can't deny Daniel Dubois now. He was given that IBF title, which probably should have been on the line for the Hrgovic fight, and he's now an outright kind of undeniable world champion. But where does he actually rank, Gareth, in kind of the top 5 heavyweights?
So who doesn't he beat in that? I think if we look at it that way, who doesn't he beat in the top 10? Well, he's lost to Usyk, but I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Usyk again, who was obviously there last night. I think Fury beats him, but I would say that, wouldn't I? I think he keeps him on the end of the jab and smothers him, but he's a very dangerous opponent for Tyson Fury. He and Joe Parker is a fantastic fight. They're very close. Martin Bakole and him would be a fantastic fight as well. I think he beats Bakole. Zhili Zhang is up there as well, isn't he? He could beat all of them.
And he's
He
only
could,
27, Gareth. He's come of
and he's
age.
only 27. Well, I always felt that if he won this fight, I did write that last week. If he wins this fight and he wins it very convincingly, it's a huge scalp for him, Anthony Joshua. I know people are denigrating Anthony Joshua today and saying his record and who he fought in his last 4 fights, but it's a massive scalp on his record. By far his biggest victory, by far his greatest performance. And it was a battle of two explosive fighters. We always thought it'd be a duel. You said to me Thursday or Friday, or it might have been at the weigh-ins on Friday in Trafalgar Square, and what a week it was, by the way.
Excellent.
I reckon the first one who lands wins. I'm sure you said that to me, didn't you?
Yeah, whoever throws that big right hand.
And lands wins because they've both got great explosive power. So you've got to put Daniel in the top 4 or 5 in the world.
Okay, let's move on to Anthony Joshua. Simply, where does he go from here, in your opinion, Gareth?
I don't like the idea of him enacting the rematch clause or invoking the rematch clause, as Eddie Hearn said he might do in the ring. I thought it was far too soon to do it. It needs time to think about it. I wouldn't do it at all. 2 fights in a row like that against Anthony Joshua, and any legacy he wants to walk away from in the sport is shattered. There's no need to fight Daniel Dubois again. 7 years younger, not a good style for him, clearly. I'd hang around for the Fury fight and then retire.
We spoke to, obviously, a lot of people after the fight. There was a who's who of the boxing fraternity there, and a few did mention retirement. Gareth, do you think it would be wrong for him to retire? Do you think he
Yeah,
can
it's not a
bowl
good
out?
time to go out. It's not. He won't want to go out on that, and everyone remember the optics of being smashed around the ring and knocked down 4 times. He'll want to go out. He'll want to go out on a different note. He's much better off to go out with a big fight against Tyson Fury, regardless of what happens with Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk in the second fight. I still think, even though people will go, no, I'm not really interested. I think they'll return to, at the moment, to, oh, Fury will outbox him because he doesn't do well against a boxer. Um, and he's now not done well against a big puncher. But I do think that he will really be saddened. He might have 6 more fights, but my view is have the Fury fight and retire.
Do you think Anthony can rebuild, or does he have to go straight back into another big fight and roll the dice?
They're all big fights that he has because we scrutinise them.
Yeah.
Roll the dice, big fight, yes. He's 34. He's coming up 35, I think. He's had a long career. He's got millions and millions of pounds in the bank. He's got a decent legacy anyway. He's if he goes on, he may win a world title again. But if he's matched against guys who are dangerous for him, I don't think he wins. You know, I think, like I said, for me, it's a simple case of people might tease the Wilder fight.
I think I heard you say that on TalkSport last night. Is that right?
Yeah, Joshua and Wilder. I could, because I know that Joshua wanted to fight Wilder, or still wants to fight Wilder. That's a possibility. Again, I think he knocks Wilder out. I think Wilder's gone and lost, but I may be wrong on that. But from what I've seen, he's gone and lost. So I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to that belief that stay around for the Fury fight, recover, stay around for the Fury fight. If he's amazing against Fury, then maybe a rematch with Dubois. But I think a rematch with Dubois, given the events that happened in the fight and how it played out, not a good move.
Are we further away from the Tyson Fury fight than we was 24 hours ago?
Yeah, of course we are. Because Anthony Joshua has just suffered a disastrous, catastrophic loss in which he was battered by a heavy punching knockout artist and wasn't really able to get any foothold in the fight until the 13th minute. And the minute he did that, he got knocked out because he did he did roll the dice. A lot of people are on his case. It's going to be a very painful process over the next few days as he kicks himself that he didn't implement the game plan he'll have worked on, that he didn't do what he needed to do. He didn't block things early on. He didn't parry and block. He was very, chin high, fists like that. And that's a poor imitation of him, obviously. But just didn't work out. Nothing was right. Nothing looked right. And the things that he built up over the last 4 fights are in tatters right now.
Would you say he's not the same fighter as he once was now, Gareth?
This Anthony Joshua would not have beaten the Anthony Joshua that beat Vladimir Klitschko at Wembley 7 years ago, even though he thinks or felt, not thinks, Joshua felt before he went into the fight last night that he's a better version of that. He wasn't last night.
Last one on Joshua Dubois. What kind of side of the line do you lean towards? A bad performance from Anthony Joshua or an excellent performance from Daniel Dubois?
Bit of both, really. Daniel Dubois, 8.5 out of 10. Anthony Joshua, 4. And they're the twain met.
Okay, before I let you go, Gareth, I want to speak about the undercard. As you said earlier on in this interview, an unbelievable week.
Yeah.
From start to finish, it was like we wasn't in London. It was like we was in Saudi Arabia or a massive fight week in Las Vegas. And
Oh, we were very much in London, Joe.
yeah, we was. That they got the benchmarks of the landmarks of London and just created an absolute whirlwind around it. But it all boiled down to Saturday night where Josh Padley upset Mark Chamberlain. Then you moved into Josh Kelly, Ishmael Davis, Joshua Buatsi, Willie Hutchinson, Josh Warrington seemingly retiring in the ring, and Hamza Shiraz's dominant display over Tyler Denny. Yeah, just break down this night because it was excellent from start to finish.
I'll go from the top, bottom to the top. Padley, well done, took his moment in the limelight and produced a great performance with a smattering of people there. Still bright and sunny, quite warm in the arena. Was it Kelly and Ishmael Davis next? Yeah, Josh Kelly danced around beautifully. Ishmael Davis, very tough man with an amazing backstory, prison, teenage father, all those kind of things. Never disheartened in the fight, even though he was completely outboxed. Good performance by Kelly and a bit of vim and vigor for Ishmael Davis, cutting him towards the end of the fight and bloodying his opponent. But very entertaining. And I thought Kelly moved around beautifully in the ring. I think his physique's great now. Kakachi and Warrington went the way I thought it was going to go. Very strong from Kakachi. Thought he thoroughly deserved his victory. Josh put up a tremendous fight. And Kakachi fought him at his game, a very rough, tough fight. Willie Hutchinson, I thought, did a tremendous job against Joshua Buatsi, who proved they're both world class, frankly. Hutchinson stopped Rose because he proved that he can hang with a genuine world class operator. He didn't have quite enough. Buatsi had just too much for him. I didn't agree with the split decision because that would mean the judge that gave it for Willie Hutchinson, 2 point was he down twice and 1 point deducted, means that had it 8-4 for Hutchinson with the 3 points deducted. I think that's stretching it. The Hutchinson won 8 of the rounds. Can make a case for him winning 5 of them, definitely, and having some great successes in there. Really enjoyed that fight. I'm not sure whether they had respect for each other afterwards. I think they did, didn't they? Not really.
I don't think they're ever going to be best of friends, Gareth.
No, but it was still a really good fight. Really good fight. Joshua Buatsi's put himself into the position to be able to challenge the winner of Better Be Evan Bivol, which would be a completely different fight to that one. But what Joshua Buatsi did, he went to the body. I think he scored many body shots in that fight, and that's what worked for him. He had his game plan right, and he implemented it. Tyler Denny, Cinderella story, but Hamza Shiraz is on a different trajectory, on a different level, and he really proved that he's going to be very hard to fight at middleweight. If Canelo's around long enough and Hamza steps up to super middleweight, I'd love to see him fight Saul Canelo Alvarez.
I agree. That could Hamza be the man, the Brit, to finally do the number over Canelo?
Not sure. I'm not
Many have tried.
Canelo after he's beaten 8 Brits or 9 Brits. So I'm not going to pick against him.
Okay, last question before I let you go on Sunday night, Gareth. I want to talk to you about the subplot that emerged this week between Ben Shalom, Eddie Hearn, and Frank Warren. It's the first time all three promoters have been working in close proximity. It was interesting, to say the least. Had you kept up with the, I don't really know what to call it, feud between Ben Shalom and Eddie Hearn?
Not really.
What do you make of it though, Gareth? Like,
it's just nonsense. It's just nonsense. It's Eddie trying to put the boot in on Ben all the time, and Ben, all that Eddie's doing is making Ben grow at the moment.
Okay, very interesting, Gareth.
It's a bit like me pulling you into the ring and bullying you around a little bit, blooding you, and like you going, "Oh, this is good. I'm growing up," or you don't like it, but the more I do it, the more you're actually going to get your aura and smash me one of these days.
I could never smash you, Gareth.
Yeah, you could. You could. No, you wouldn't want to. No, but the analogy. I
think I'd get a head kick straight round the face, mate.
but my analogy being that all Eddie's really doing is bringing him through. Because Ben grew this week and really enjoyed it, didn't he?
And we're going to see more of this. I think Ben Shalom's got 6 fighters on the Better Be a Bivol card.
Yeah, exactly.
He's really grown into this Riyadh season, and there's going to be a lot more to come, Gareth. There's going to be a press conference this week, and I'm sure we're going to see many more Riyadh season cards, and we love it, don't we?
We do. We really do. It was a brilliant card and a brilliant night.
Excellent, Gareth. I'm going to let you go and get some sleep. Enjoy a few days off, and I will see you when I see you, mate. Thank you very much.